Welcome, Reflections. You are over here with Terethia. Hit the like and subscribe button so you never miss out on another Hoodoo Voodoo tale. Now, today, this particular story time is actually coming from Memphis, Tennessee. Now, this particular story time is a little different. We're going to do a part 1 and a part 2 to this story time. Now, the name of this story time is actually about Professor Warren, who actually was over the War is Dead League. Now, if you haven't heard of this particular league, Reflection, that after this story time, hopefully you'll be familiar with it. Now, it says the Mid-South has a deep history of spiritualists, prophets, and traditional healers. One of the most fascinating personalities was Memphis-born spiritualist William H. Warren. Professor Warren combined elements of African-American hoodoo and Eastern mysticism to create a spiritual organization for Black Memphisans that focused on personal success, magic, and racial pride. The War is Dead Institute and Bible League, also known as the WID League, originally operated on South Lauderdale in downtown Memphis, then later on Vance Street. The name War is Dead is pronounced War as Sedin, which comes from the word that strangers used to call Warren while he was in India. Now, the Indian word for War is Sedin is actually wisdom I desire. Author Shields MacLean, in the 1948 book Memphis Down in Dixie, claims that Warren told her the words were Eric. Warren traveled to India with a white physician whom his mother worked for in the younger days. It was in India that Warren claimed he learned what he called the mystic science that he brought back home to teach the Black Memphisans. Now, Warren's spiritual practices included the use of candle magic and incense, roots, and herbs, along with Christian and Asian religious iconography. He would use the Bible as well as playing cards to gain insight into spiritual wisdom. He advertised himself as a spiritual advisor and gave lectures about his beliefs along with classes on creating spiritual art. He also conducted organizations, philosophies, debates among members of his organization. Spiritual lessons were often taught during ritual dramas that reincarnated Bible stories. Group feasts known as War is Diners were conducted for fellowship, recruitment, and learning. Members of the War is Dead community were divided into groups named after the months of the year. Okay, so they actually would name the particular community. They would actually separate it and name it after the months of the year. And we all know there are 12 months in a year. Okay, Reflection, keep that in mind. Now, the group Januarians, which is the original name for January, were changed with taking care of the fellow Januarians, okay? And likewise for other groups. Warren conducted individual and group sessions for his devotees that included lessons and advice on financial matters. Members were encouraged to save their money and not to spend it frivolously in order to further the success of the African American community. So he was all about saving and putting everything back into the community so the community could prosper. Reflection, okay? It says the cost to join War is Dead was $5 with a monthly membership of 25 cents. Potential members underwent strict physical examinations by a Black physician and a white physician. A Professor Warren said he didn't want the bad disease in his organization. Now, Warren operated a savings club for member investments, keeping the investments from the investors. Members in various professions would use their positions as official members of the Institute. For example, a member of a barber became an official War is Dead barber, dedicating his work to the organization. So they would actually have a barber that would actually cut the hair of all of the people in that particular organization. They all went to their barber. So it's like they all kept the money in the organization, okay? Different people for different things. Members were encouraged to spend their money among the War is Dead official members, therefore keeping finances flowing throughout the organization. It provided health care for many of its members and even purchased medicine for them on occasion. So they stuck together. They took care of each other even in the time of sicknesses. Okay. It says Professor Warren led classes in art, crafts, and encouraging members to create crafts using woodworking. So he was big in woodworking, as well as ceramic materials and clothing to sell to make money for the group. Okay. He claims to have learned secrets of creating artwork in India. And you'll notice a lot of things that you buy, especially artwork and pottery and different things like that. Reflection, if you look on it, it's made in India. So let's keep that going. Charity towards others was emphasized among the group. During the holiday seasons, members handed out hundreds of food baskets and clothing to those in the need throughout the city. Now, the organization changed its focus as an educational entity and began to call itself a temple. Several Black-operated newspapers, including the Atlanta Daily World, boasted of the work that Warren, a noted spiritualist, and the temple were doing throughout the southern United States. Several organizations in the city of Memphis joined with the temple to conduct food and clothing drives during the Christmas holidays. Warren's War is Den Bible League spawned several splinter branches throughout the United States in cities like New Orleans, Clarksdale, and Chicago, as well as in Canada. In April of 1940, Warren boasted of a membership of over 30,000 throughout the world. Reflection, and it started in that small city. Well, not a small city, but it started in the city of Memphis. Reflection. So what do you think about that? Have you heard of Professor Warren, and did you hear about all of his accomplishments? Reflection, that he actually went to India and actually came back. Reflection, and not only did he learn knowledge, he spreaded the knowledge, and he actually created a whole institute, a whole organization to prosper the Black community. What do you think about that? Reflection, drop in the comments and let me know, what are your thoughts if you have heard of this War is Den institution. And make sure you join me back for part 2, because I'm going to tell you in part 2 how they tried to take down Professor Warren at the peak. You know, when you get all the way to the peak, they want to bring you back down sometimes. Reflection. So make sure you join me back for part 2. Hit the like and subscribe button so you don't miss out on the next story time. Until next time, Ashay.